Storytelling is the most powerful way to express your imagination, to express your thoughts and visualization, to increase listeners' curiosity. Acharya Shri Vijay Vallabh School, Pune comes up with a webinar on the art of storytelling, an exploration to your imagination. To illustrate your ideas or concepts in the form of a story by our speaker, Ms. Kajari Mitra. To develop your child's listening skills and ability to focus. Our chairman, Shri Subhashji Parmar, has guided and motivated us. So, to live, create, and tell your story, let's begin with our today's interesting webinar.
Good morning and a warm welcome to one and all who are present with us live this Sunday morning. I, Annie Swamikan, on behalf of Acharya Shri Vijay Vallabh School, welcome you all for today's live webinar on the topic, The Art of Storytelling, with our eminent guest, Ms. Kajari Mitra ma'am. We at Acharya Shri Vijay Vallabh School, with the motivation and the immense guidance from our chairman, Shri Subhashji Parmar sir, and the members of the Education Committee have organized this webinar on the topic, the art of storytelling. Storytelling is an act of telling a story in an entertaining, impressive, imaginative, or dramatic way. It's rightly said by Robin Morey, inside each of us is a natural born storyteller waiting to be released. As we all know, we are born storytellers and naturally use storytelling in one shape or other, like talking to our friends or relatives, sharing our secrets with our friends, and many more. And sometimes we do it in an entertaining way. Everyone among us have heard many stories during their childhood. We are all grown up listening to story. So let's be ready for today's webinar on the topic, the art of storytelling and exploration of our imagination. I request our principal, Mrs. Snehal Khataukar ma'am, to give an insight of our school. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Annie. Good morning to all the wonderful people present today. I heartily welcome our today's honorable speaker, Ms. Kajari Mitra, and I also extend my heartfelt gratitude for accepting the invitation and presiding over the webinar on the topic, the art of storytelling, an exploration of our imagination. Storytelling, I think, is the most powerful way to put forth our ideas. It is one of the oldest and the most effective forms of teaching. It is described as an art which requires creativity, vision, skill, and practice. We at Acharya Shri Vijay Vallabh School always plan, execute, teach through stories to make our lessons interesting, fun-loving, and entertaining. It helps to develop an understanding, respect, and appreciation for other cultures, to promote a positive attitude that helps to develop communication skills and extend the imagination among the students. We conduct storytelling competitions, also arrange Sane Guruji Kathamala sessions for the kids as to improve literary comprehension. We also have a well-equipped, effective, unique Chandraprakash language lab with 62 computers through which our students are able to listen to the stories and make the language learning alive and create a participatory and immersive experience that allows young learners to enjoy hearing the languages in the dynamic, stylistic, and entertaining way. I thank our chairman, Sri Subhashji Parmar sir, for the guidance and the support given to us for this webinar. So now let's move ahead and enjoy our today's wonderful webinar, The Art of Storytelling and Exploration of Our Imagination, to gain a lot of knowledge and make this morning bright and interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, it's an honor and privilege for me to introduce to you our today's guest of honor for our webinar. On behalf of Acharya Shri Vijay Vallabh School, I'm extremely glad to welcome our guest for today's session, Ms. Kajari Mitra ma'am. Ma'am has done her Master's in Business Administration, University of New Brunswick, Canada, and MA in English Literature after a Bachelor's of Science in Physics. Kajari ma'am is a lifelong learner. Her professional interests lie in subjects like behavior and teamwork. Ma'am has worked with British Council for total 27 years in two stints, from 1984 to 1997, and then again from 2007 to 2020. The other 10 years was spent partly in Canada and other institutions. Other than her work, her interests lie in community service for both people as well as for animals. Food is another passion along with travel. Currently, ma'am is working as head relationship in Ajinkya D.Y. Patil University. Ma'am, we are indeed fortunate that you are with us this morning to share your views. Over to you, Kajari ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me today. I basically developed my interest in storytelling when I messed up an interview. And then because British Council used to get UK storytellers every year, I attended some of their sessions mainly to get over my huge fright of giving interviews. And I'm happy to share all my knowledge with the students and parents today. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we present before you the glimpses of our stories and poems by our students. First, we have Disha Agarwal from Standard 5th B presenting a poem.
My name is Disha Deepak Agarwal. I study in 5th B. My poem name is My Books by Anonymous. I love my books. They are the homes of queens and fairies and knights and gnomes. Each time I read, I make a call on some white person, large or small, who welcomes me with a hearty hand and leads me through this wonderland. Each book is like a city street along whose winding way I meet new friends and old who laugh and sing and take me off adventuring. Thank you.
Indeed, Disha has said the poem in an expressive way. Let's listen to a story by Tanishka Surana from Standard 6A.
My name is Tanishka Surana. I study in 6A. My story's name is The Smart Vendor. There was a smart vendor. He used to act smart with people. Once a small boy bought some berries from the vendor. The vendor gave him berries less in weight. The boy asked, "Why are you giving me less berries?" The vendor's reply was, "Lesser the money, easier to carry. Now give me the money." The boy dropped some coins into the vendor's hand and walked off. The vendor counted the money and found to be less. The vendor shouted, "Hey boy, you have given me less money." The boy's reply was, "Lesser the money, easier to count, isn't it?" So the moral of the story is, smart people are outsmarted. Thank you.
story was really interesting. We were mesmerized by the story. We have another poem by Kashish Solanki from Standard 4th B.
My name is Kashish Solanki. Today I am going to recite a poem on There is a Key of the Kingdom by Anonymous. There is a key of the kingdom. In that kingdom, there is a city. In that city, there is a town. In that town, there is a street. In that street, there is a lane. In that lane, there is a house. In that house, there is a room. In that room, there is a bed. On that bed, there is a basket. In that basket, there are some flowers. Flowers in the basket, basket on the bed in the room in the house in the yard in the lane in the street in the town in the city in the kingdom, and this is the key of the kingdom.
Wonderful. The sequence of the poem was really very well put up by Kashish. We are all aware of the stories of Akbar and Birbal. Here, Aditya Meher will present a short story about how Birbal caught the thief.
Good morning, everyone. I am Aditya Meher from Standard 6, and I am going to tell you a story about Birbal's wisdom. Once upon a time, a rich merchant's house was robbed. The merchant suspected that the thief was one of his servants. So, he went to Birbal and mentioned the incident. Birbal went to his house and asked all the servants to assemble and asked who stole the merchant's things. Everybody denied. Birbal thought for a moment and then gave a stick of equal length to all of the servants of the merchant and said to them that the stick of the real thief will be longer by 2 inches the next day. He asked all of the servants to be present there with their sticks the next day. All the servants went to their homes and gathered together the same place the next day. Birbal asked them to show him their sticks. One of the servants had his stick short by 2 inches. Birbal said, "This is the thief, merchant." Later, the merchant asked Birbal, "How did you catch him?" Birbal said, "The thief had already cut his stick shorter by 2 inches in the night, fearing that the stick will be longer by 2 inches in the morning." Moral of the story is truth will always prevail. Thank you.
Yes, Aditya. It was a wonderful story about Birbal's cleverness. He has also prepared the beautiful picture. We have a poem, Flint, by Dishi Jain from Standard 5A.
My name is Dishya Jain. I study in 5th A. Today I am going to recite a poem on Flint by Christina Rosti. An emerald is as green as grass, a ruby is red as blood, a sapphire shining as blue as heaven, a flint platinum one. A diamond is a brilliant stone to catch our desire, an open hole finds back, but flint hold fire.
Yes, Dishi, you have described the poem Flint in a very poetic way. We have a story by Daksh Bamboli from Standard 10th.
When Lord Krishna and Balram were just kids, they had to cross a forest. They were walking the whole day and the night was nearing. So they decided to sleep under a tree as they were very tired. But Balram said that this being a forest, There might be many wild animals that might attack us while we are sleeping. So he suggested that while one is sleeping, the other will keep on guard and protect. So they decided that first Balram will keep on guard. On that tree, a demon lived. He saw that two kids are sleeping under my tree. How can this happen? It frightening him. When Balram saw that this big demon is trying to frighten me, he decided to fight him. But as he got bigger and bigger, he started to shiver by fear. When he started fearing, the demon got more bigger, and started turning red. By seeing this, Balram got so afraid that he fainted and shrieked so loudly that Krishna woke up in a jerk. When Krishna saw that Balram is lying unconscious on the floor, he saw that there was a big demon ahead of him. Krishna was very calm about this demon. He just saw right in his face. The demon started to frighten him, but as Krishna was fearless, he started decreasing in size. When Krishna saw that this demon is decreasing in size, he started laughing. And seeing this, the demon decreased in size so much that he became of the size of the thumb. Krishna simply just picked him up and tied to his knot of his dhoti and slept relaxed. And other day when they woke up, Balram said that did you know that there was a big demon last night? And he tried to frighten me. So Krishna just took out that demon and said, are you talking about this demon, this small demon? So friends, the moral of the story is face fear, it goes. Avoid fear, it grows. So when Lord Krishna and Balram
Yes, Daksh Bamboli presented the story of Krishna and Balram in a very impressive way. Indeed, the presentations of our students were really wonderful. Now, the most awaiting moment of the webinar has come. It's our guest of honor, Ms. Kajari ma'am, will be presenting and guiding us on the topic, the art of storytelling. Over to you, Kajari ma'am.
So everybody can see my screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just to reiterate that I'm very happy to be here today and share my experiences about the art of storytelling to such a wide audience. I know this is going live on Facebook also. And what I'd really like to specify is that we mustn't get too hung up about, why storytelling can improve our academic grades or whether there is really a moral attached to it. Just to enjoy language, to enrich our vocabulary, to have fun, to relax. Sometimes also storytelling helps in grievance process. It helps both adults and children to sort of get in touch with the feelings and then be able to process all those very complex emotions in a very calm manner. So the benefits, as I mentioned before, is that the first thing that storytelling does is it sort of transfers knowledge. So either I may have a story to tell, I may have a story maybe on confidence, maybe on the teen brain, or maybe on something else. And even a Hindi film director is transferring his story, his beliefs, his to the audience, and he's transferring that information. It could be very critical knowledge, or it could be just sheer entertainment. The other thing which storytelling does is that it really nurtures good human relationships. So when we meet a friend and we are narrating a story to her about what happened with us, or we are speaking to a class of students about a story of maybe Vikram Betal, or even as these kids recited poems, we basically are strengthening the bonds between the audience and the storyteller. It also brings out passion of audiences. So basically the audience will become more participative, it will become more receptive to the ideas, and it will also be very maybe, you know, it'll get angry at hearing something, or it will feel sad. So it sort of brings out the passion. Like many of us who are high on empathy, we cry while seeing a sad movie. So that is basically what happens. You know, the story sort of enthralls you in such a manner that you yourself start mimicking uh, the the storyteller's actions. It also storytelling, the biggest use is that it actually develops the imagination skills of audience. So it is a very important thing, and that's why when a child learns the language, the mother, the father, they tell them stories, they tell them poems, and the child sort of, you know, imagines different scenarios, and some of these poems and all live with us throughout our life. The main purpose of this technique is to share and to transfer knowledge. Uh, now, the most important thing in our lifestyle today is that we refuse to sort of do things which are good for the brain. Instead, you know, we tend to do many things in which our brain activity actually decreases. And of course, the new villain of the piece is the smartphone, is the screens, etc. But one must remember that uh, in the end, it is the brain which controls the whole body. It controls the entire person's life, because the decisions that you are going to take will impact your life in the future. So the neural coupling is where maximum work takes place. So when the neurons fire and the listener of the story, he turns to his own ideas, he turns to his own experiences, and then interprets the story for himself. So each viewer in the audience will have a different way of interpreting a story. The other thing which storytelling does is it sort of releases dopamine into our brains, and then you sort of get a very emotional high, and it makes it easier to remember the story, and you also remember things with greater accuracy. The other thing which I touched on before is that there is mirroring. So we may laugh when the storyteller laughs, we may cry when the movie is sad, we may sort of, you know, feel whatever emotions the speaker is trying to get across, we tend to feel that. And the other is this very critical activity, which is the cortex activity. So while processing various facts, there are two areas of the brains which are activated. So a well told story can actually not only affect your motor cortex, it will also control your prefrontal cortex. As we know, prefrontal cortex develops when a person is in adolescence. So children actually end up having a totally different reaction to stories than adults. So this is the very critical thing that happens when storytelling is told. And this is why in schools all over the Western region, whether you have Swedish, Finnish schools, or UK schools, US schools, there are a lot of storytelling going on. And there is this emphasis on, you know, sort of trying to understand complex social problems through storytelling. So what we have noted is that in language, everybody tells stories. So we start with the parent telling stories to the children. We end with all the theater people and even corporate trainers who actually tell stories which are in the corporate scene. The truth is that anybody can tell a story. We have seen one. Excuse me. Yeah. So here I'd like to sort of focus on once I'd like one YouTube to be shown. Can you hear? Guys, can you hear? Hello, can you
No,
hear?
ma'am, the screen share did not
Yes,
start.
ma'am. It did not start?
No, ma'am. We cannot see the video, nor the audio
Okay,
is
1
audible.
minute.
Yes, ma'am.
Screen. Okay. Okay, I'll just have to then uh, I'll just have to skip that. It doesn't seem to be happening today. I'll just move on with my PPT. So as I mentioned, in oral storytelling, we can have a variety of stories. So we can have only audio, you can have audio and video. You can also have uh, every story in which you sort of divide everything into beginning, middle, and end. And this actually helps you keep the story on track. So even if you're giving an interview, you just don't want to wander away from the main idea. So you also use techniques like beginning, middle, and end in corporate settings also, and in telling a story. So I am now going to use beginning, middle, and end to tell you a story. So what happens in beginning is that you tend to introduce various characters. You also introduce the setting of the story. So the setting could be a place, it could be historically a period movie, it could be a story on cartoons, it could be a story on ghosts. So in while introducing the characters, you could sort of take the ghost of a cat to be your main character, and then introduce the setting, which could be in the modern world, and then you sort of introduce problems. And this is how writers capture the attention of the audience to keep them going on and on. In the middle, again, what you do is you introduce, uh, you go deeper into the problem, and then you lead the reader or the audience through all the events that solve the problem. And in the end, we have the closure, we also have reflection, we have lessons learned, and we also have feelings shared. So I am going to try to use this technique now to tell you a story about confidence. And this is a very personal experience. And this is what happened to me, where I tried to sort of improve my confidence in driving a car, particularly in a snowy. So the beginning is like this. So the situation was that I received an interview call, which was 300 kilometers away from the city that I lived in. I had a new car and I was very scared of driving, particularly on snow. Since it was a new car, I didn't have snow tires. I had just bought the car, and I saw that I was going to really be scared to drive 300 kilometers and to give an interview, which is anyway a very stressful sort of a situation. So what I did was I planned everything. I was doing my MBA at that time, so I told my professors that I won't be able to come in for a day. I arranged for the babysitter to come and pick up the child and drop him to school. I also organized for the entire interview session. What were the questions that they would ask me, what would I answer, etc. But in the midst of all that, I was terrified. So on the day of the interview, it was snowing and snowing, and it was really hard to even defrost the car. So I switched on the heater half an hour before, and I kept telling myself that yes, I can do it. uh, the highway was full of salt, because when it snows, they come and they drop a lot of ice and they clear the snow, and all the snow was cleared away, and there were huge snow banks on both the sides, and visibility was so poor that I just held on to the steering wheel, and I was determined that, no, I cannot crash the car. I will do this. uh, I sort of calmed myself down. I put the car on cruise control at a speed of 100 kilometers, and I said that should be enough and we should be able to reach in time. I was told by my friends that please do not brake. If you brake, you will definitely go into the skid and crash the car. I was a bit in my panicky moments. I sort of braked, and I did feel the car go into a skid, but I was very strong, and I said, no, I will just hold on till the skid corrects itself. And I went on ahead. I was also told by my friends that do take a break, because this is the first time you're doing long distance driving, especially in the snow. You will have to focus a lot on your driving, so you need to chill and relax also. So I stopped at a cafe. I had my coffee, and I managed to reach the interview place half an hour early. I gave the interview. I mean, I had practiced a lot. And on the return journey, it was beautiful. It was a lovely sunny day. The snow had stopped, and I was very proud of myself. Not only did I uh, conquer my fear of driving, I also conquered my fear of snowflakes. Now, snowflakes are a very beautiful thing, and when one goes from India to Canada, one thinks the snow is so beautiful, but the snow can be dangerous also. So this was a huge lesson, and I not only reflected over the interview, I also reflected over the driving, and I decided that in the future, I am not going to be scared at all. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Uh, the other thing is written stories. All of us know all about literature. Literature includes fiction. Literature includes poetry. It also includes biographies, plays, essays, and the commonest form that we see is fiction. In fiction, what happens is the writer first selects a genre. A genre could be, maybe crime, maybe thriller, maybe science fiction, or it could be comedy. Then the author also selects his characters. So the characters are, as I mentioned, it could be the ghost of a cat, or it could be people, or it could be what young people like nowadays, zombies. And then you select your setting. The setting is the place, and then you have your plot, if you want to have a plot, or you can do it in a, just a normal narrative, as we say. And then every plot always has a climax, mostly in order to keep you hooked to even maybe a TV series. We have the opening, and then we have rising action, falling action. And in the falling action, that critical moment is where a series will often end, so that you go on and you see the next part of it. So they try to keep you hooked by this whole rising action and falling action. And that is the way how authors, film directors, etc., they keep people interested in their books, movies, etc. Now, visual storytelling can be just maybe one simple picture. It could be just a simple picture that we have here, which is of an average teenage brain. And this picture, as we know, says 100 words. So this actually explains a lot of what goes on in a teenager's life, the obsession with love, the obsession with rebellion, the love parents, hate parents, the ego, everything that is developing, the huge amount of TV watching that goes on. So even through a simple picture, one can tell a story. And this is the way most animation, most this thing work. They also may add a full-fledged music and a sequence to it, and then that becomes a film. The other part of visual storytelling is when you have a proper film, you have script writing. And in the film, what happens is that many times the brain doesn't engage so much, because basically we are just listening to the director's view of his story. We may not like the ending. For example, when I was doing this workshop earlier, many people told me that they didn't like the ending of Bajirao Mastani, they didn't like the ending of so and so, so and so. Some of them may have even felt that maybe for this role, another actor would have been better. But what is passive in either when you're watching television or a film, or Netflix, etc., is that it is very passive. We are just reacting to whatever the director has in store for us. There is no imagination in it. There is no brain activity going on. Only 2-3 parts of the brain are engaged, not all of them. There is a bit of mirroring and the other things which are happening, but other than that, we are just sort of passively listening to the story. The other way nowadays is that people tell stories through social media. So people tell very good stories through their Facebook accounts. People tell very good stories through their LinkedIn accounts. And Instagram is one of the really good ways of telling stories. I was just looking through the Instagram account of a young girl who draws cartoons on various social evils like dowry, etc. And she does a fantastic job. So I also didn't know much about social media stories. So this was the book that I followed. Karthik Srinivasan is one of the LinkedIn influencers. And he has been very successful in sort of, he comes from a PR and a mass comm background. And he has really explained everything very well. And after reading his book, I have managed to segregate my various social media accounts on Facebook, I have, my intimate friends, my family. I post on food, I post on travel. And then on LinkedIn, I post on behavior, I post on parenting, etc. On Twitter, I do book reviews and now a bit of Netflix movie reviews. And on Insta, I am still new, but because I love change so much, I have started my Instagram handle. I'm calling it Romancing Changes. And I try to tell a story about the various changes that I have seen in my life of 60 years. So, for example, we used to have bookshelves, but nowadays our entire bookshelf is in the tab. So, those sort of contrasting ways in which I can tell a story. I haven't been very active on it, but I would really like, to devote a little bit more time to sort of social media also. I am quite regular on LinkedIn, same name. And on Insta, it is, as I mentioned, Romancing Changes. Then this brings me to the finale, which is corporate storytelling. Now, so from simple storytelling for children, then to adults, etc., we have now evolved in such a way that a company tells a story. So there is one person on LinkedIn, again, he tells stories about the various Tata companies. So nowadays people have professional help to tell stories. Here, what they do is often the customer is the hero of the story. The customer wants something and has a problem or is stuck in the company policies, the guidelines, which will provide the solution, they come to help, then the plan, then the various courses of action, and then the success, and finally the resolution in which the success makes a happy customer. So this is it from me. I will now stop sharing so that various questions can be asked.
Yes, ma'am. Change is the need of the time. Thank you for such a lovely presentation. It was really very wonderful to hear you. With this, I hand over to Farida ma'am. Over to you, Farida ma'am.
Thank you, Annie ma'am. Ma'am, Kajari ma'am,
Yes.
the story you narrated was indeed inspiring. It taught us that success comes only after hardships. Our students are eager to ask questions to you. So let's begin with the question answer session. I request Asim Joshi, a student, to ask the question to our guest. Over to you.
Thank you, Farida ma'am. Good morning, Kajri ma'am. My question to you is, what are the elements of visual storytelling?
In visual storytelling, we have a variety of elements. So there could be just a simple picture, there could be a full-fledged film with music and everything built into it, and it could be a very complex plot, or it could be a very simple plot. It could be 6 minutes, it could be full 2 hours. So visual storytelling has a variety of components, and some people use visual storytelling in a very, very effective manner, and they also use visual storytelling for a variety of social problems. So the visual storyteller could be a street play in which they are trying to make people more receptive towards vaccination, or it could be an Instagram handle in which a girl is drawing pictures to depict social evils like dowry, the fact that women are made to share most of the housework, etc. So there are a variety of components in visual storytelling.
Yes, ma'am. Visual storytelling builds the ability to relate to the values and mindset of viewers. Now, Tanishka Surana from Standard 6th A will ask a question to our guest. Over to you, Tanishka.
Thank you, Farida ma'am. I am Tanishka Surana from Standard 6th. Ma'am, my question to you is, how can the students develop storytelling skills?
You all are so good at storytelling already. So basically what happens in any sport, art, practice is the main thing which makes you good. What we call as, your competency rising to such a level that you become an expert, that can only happen with more and more practice. For example, I don't have much practice, so I don't modulate my voice. But then if it was an actor, for example, Nasiruddin Shah telling the same story which I told on Confidence, it would be a totally different ball game, because he has been doing it for 40 years. Whereas I have just learned storytelling a year or two ago, and I am still in the process of learning how to modulate my voice, to be engaging with and also to engage with people over a video platform. That is another thing which I have just learned. So if I was more used to being on these platforms, then I would have done a much better job. And this is why various actors, they audition, they even in theater, we rehearse and rehearse and still we are picture perfect. In storytelling, the other thing which one uses is the memory. So that's why we need to memorize, and we need to sort of use the structure of beginning, middle, and end, so that we don't go off track. And the memory is something that needs to be really trained in this, because actual storytellers, they do things extempore. If you hear a good comedian, they tell such wonderful stories from normal day-to-day life. So a stand-up comedian may talk about, his family and how his parenting occurred, or how his father would always there is this guy, I can't remember his name, but he does this Punjabi father, is that all my father did was to tell me ja sodala. And from that he sort of builds it up so well that all of us remain engaged over not only his YouTubes, but we try to watch him on in person, and we pay fat sums to sort of listen to him. So it will only come with practice, whether you're telling stand-up comedy, or whether you're acting in a film, or whether you're just telling even your child, when you're just telling them the initial first stories, maybe you are not so good, but by the time the child is 4 years old, you might get much better. Is that okay?
Thank you, ma'am, for stating that. I would like to say that Tanishka, though she is in the 6th standard, when we listen to her story, ma'am, she expresses it so well that we feel like just waiting and listening to her story. So Tanishka is excellent in saying the story, and she knows that it is important to be able to use different tones in her voice while she's narrating the story. So all these factors which you have told, ma'am, we can see in Tanishka's story.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Now Disha Agarwal of Standard 5th B is eager to ask the question to you, ma'am.
Hi, Disha.
Thank you, Farida ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning.
My question is to you. What are the advantages of learning the art of storytelling?
Yeah, as I mentioned in my first slide, remember, there were many benefits, and one is the major one is that we are transferring knowledge, and that knowledge could be just for entertainment, or it could be someone teaching you physics, or someone teaching you geography in a very engaging manner. So basically, storytelling is used to sort of get the message across. So it could be a social message, it could be a teaching, or it could be sheer entertainment where the director is telling his stories and we are just listening, or it could be a very critical thing, like a surgeon, when he sort of wants to show his skill. So then he sort of nowadays people even film inside a theater, so that that story can also be seen by other people. So these were all not there, but with the huge this thing of social media, YouTube videos, etc., so people can tell their stories in a variety of ways, and we absorb different knowledge from different people in also a variety of ways. So for example, I am an elderly person, so I watch a lot of these health videos in which doctors come and tell you. So I learn about something from a very informal media. I don't read a medical book. I don't ask my doctor, my family doctor, but I gather my knowledge from a variety of people on the net, so that I know, how to handle aging, or if I want to, for example, how to manage Google Talk. So Google also we learn through a variety of media. So I read a little bit about it. I read about doing online teaching through Zoom calls, through Google Meet, etc. And I watched a series of videos, I read some stuff, and then that's how I got the knowledge. also. These are, serious topics, but for other things, we have a lot of fun while we are doing it. So for example, there's a stand-up comedian, or there is an actor telling us about his experience, or someone telling a story about, how they overcame their cancer. So all those things sort of do different things for us. So they may give us information, they may give us knowledge. Sometimes we sympathize with the person, sometimes there is a different sort of a like the current situation where there have been a lot of deaths. Now how do we sort of sympathize with the person whom we cannot visit? So that is where, we listen to their stories on Zoom calls, WhatsApp calls, and we try to process the information and we grieve together. So it necessarily needn't be just entertainment. It could also be emotional connect, where we are grieving or we are being happy with someone. The baby is born, so we are happy. Someone dies, we are also, engaged in that emotion of grieving with them. So we learn through a variety of ways, and our engagement in storytelling can be through a variety of, we use the visual ones, we use our audio, we use music sometimes, good, bad, everything can be done through storytelling.
Yes, ma'am. Stories, we can learn many things from the stories, from the experiences of others. They can make us think about things in the ways we have never thought of them before. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Now, our student Ayush Darji wishes to ask the question to you, ma'am. Over to you, Ayush.
Thank you, Farida ma'am. Thank you, Farida ma'am. I am Ayush Darji, studying in Standard 9. Ma'am, I would like to ask you that how can the art of storytelling help students to develop English writing skills?
Yes. So storytelling is actually a key indicator of language. So language basically consists of reading, writing, listening, speaking. And those storytelling uses speaking. It is something which actually intertwines and enhances all these four qualities in a language. So we read better, we speak better, we write better, and we listen better. And in writing, what happens is that, you sort of learn how to, have a different set of characters. You place your story in a particular setting. It doesn't need to be in the present, it can be in the future, it can be in the past. So all that will actually enhance your story in such a way that, you engage with the audience more. It also will improve your grammar, because what will happen is, while writing the story, you will find that you have written pages and pages, and then suddenly you have to make it all concise and precise so that, it fits into the 500 words or whatever is demanded by the examiner or by the publisher if you're really writing a book. Or if it's a poem, you will have to, find rhyming words. You will have to, finish it within, if you're writing a haiku, so you have just 4 lines in which to explain your entire emotion. So that is where your writing will become very, very crisp. And this is what journalists do, since they have, when they go out and they follow a story, they report it in very long this thing, but then in the end they have to snip it and make it fit into 1 column or max 2. So what storytelling does is, it gives you that ability to make it crisp and then to hold on to your audience, so that they would want to read, they want to read more, or they want to go to the
Farida,
Miss, next
Yes.
question.
Storytelling improves both memory and the ability to use narrative language, which is necessary for developing literacy and writing skills. Now, Dishi Jain is inquisitive to ask question to our guest. Over to you, Dishi.
Thank you, ma'am. My question to you, ma'am, is how can the art of storytelling help in presenting and resolving the social issues?
the question answer session was really interesting. All the students are asking so beautiful questions, and all the questions are being answered very well by our guest. I think, children, you all are able to. I think you all are happy. I think so, right? I can see all your faces there blooming up because all the questions, all the things, whatever was going on in your mind is all been answered today. It was such a nice thing to hear from Kajari ma'am. So very soon we'll be connecting. I think it was Dishi's question, right? Yes, Dishi. Yes, dear. Yes, dear.
दो मिनट का वापस वीडियो लगा हुआ इसका
बच्चों को लगा नहीं. Yes, we'll just see one nice, beautiful video, a story by Tanishka.
Ma'am, you can continue.
Sorry, I lost power.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm so sorry. I was dreading this, but you can wrap up. You can wrap up. So we are at the hands of Mahadishcom.
Now, Dishi Jain is inquisitive to ask the question to our guest. Over to you, Dishi.
Thank you, ma'am. My question to you, ma'am, is how can the art of storytelling help in presenting and resolving the social issues?
It's very easy, dear. Nowadays, we use a lot of street plays, a lot of comedy, etc., for various social evils. So whether it is, the fact that people are not taking vaccination, or whether it's the fact that there are still, people have reticence towards the polio vaccine or to the COVID vaccine. So all these are now being these social problems are being addressed through a platform of various media. So it could be social media, it could be a street play, it could be stand-up comedy. There are quite a few women stand-up comedians who talk about social evils like patriarchy. And the whole thing is that when you take it in a lighter vein, it actually, you remember it more and it's more hard hitting. So that is why these various other storytelling methods are used, to to sort of combat social evils. Of course, social evil is not going to be just, it won't just go away because, those are deep rooted things, but it is a great way to sort of, at least popularize and discuss the topic, because we generally refuse to discuss anything which is slightly sticky, like maybe why dowry is still around though we have banned it for so many years, or why people are hesitant to have neighbors of a different religion. But the moment you use these different platforms, so you have an Instagram post of something, or you have a YouTube highlighting something else, that actually makes you think. And that is how, with thought, with discussion, with dialogue, is how people are expecting to resolve social issues. For example, that the French and the Germans, they have been fighting with each other for years and years. But because they have made it very, this thing in the last 100 years, last 50 years, that no, we will use dialogue, we will use this thing, we will use a variety of films, etc., to highlight that, yes, we can be friends too. And that is how they have succeeded. They haven't had a single battle ever since. But previously, for like the last thousands of years, they've been fighting and sniping at each other. So this is how they do it.
True, ma'am. Storytelling can drive the belief of the people and bring about behavioral changes. Thank you so much, ma'am, for guiding us on the art of storytelling and for quenching the thirst of our students' knowledge related to storytelling. Thank you once again, ma'am. Now, I request Annie, ma'am, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Farida ma'am. I, Annie Swamikan, on behalf of Acharya Shri Vijay Vallabh School, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to our Honorable Chief Guest, Ms. Kajari Mitra ma'am, for her presence. It is such an honor for me to get an opportunity to thank you all. Firstly, I extend my gratitude to our Honorable Chief Guest, Ms. Kajari Mitra ma'am, who took out time from a busy schedule to grace the event. Thank you, ma'am, for inspiring and encouraging us with all your lovely words and the beautiful stories that you narrated, and all the questions that you have answered to us. I extend my gratitude to our chairman, Shri Subhashji Parmar sir, for encouraging and motivating us. A heartfelt thanks to the committee members, trust members, principals, teachers, my dear students, and all our parents. I must thank the technical team for working hard to make this webinar successful. I also thank all the viewers for their active participation. Thank you, everyone, once again, and making this day a special one for us. Stay tuned with us for upcoming webinars. Thank you, and have a wonderful day ahead.
Acharya Shri Vijay Vallabh School, Pune, India. Thanks all our viewers for giving their overwhelming response. Thanks to today's eminent speaker. A special thanks to our chairman, Shri Subhashji Parmar. A big thanks to our organizing team, Mrs. Snehal Khataukar, Principal, Mr. Kalpesh Darji, Team Leader, Mrs. Farida Sayyad, Teacher, Mrs. Annie Swamikan, Teacher, Mrs. Itisha Shah, Teacher, Miss Bhavika Rathod, Teacher, Miss Urvisha Rathod, Teacher, Mrs. Aparna Dhaigude, Team Member. Once again, thank you all. Thank you all the viewers for watching this webinar. We look forward seeing you next Sunday for yet another interesting webinar. Till then, stay tuned. Thank you.